Hello, Star Wars and unboxing fans. Welcome to a news segment that we're going to try. We're going to try, and not just a news segment, but a news segment. I thought I would take some time and just kind of give a little commentary on some of the news that has come out recently regarding Star Wars collecting. Some of this is, a couple of days old to a week old, or maybe longer by the time I drop this video. But it's also just about my thoughts on them, okay? And just trying out a new format. If you don't like it, it's fine. But I just thought I would share different things just because, the unboxing is great, but, it's such a nice day. I thought I would just kind of park it outside and talk a little bit here. So, first I want to point out my awesome Darth Tuba logo shirts, which are now available on TeePublic. You can look in the show notes for the link to my store front, where you can find all sorts of great, not only Darth Tuba logos, but also lots of vintage carded and boxed Star Wars sketch art that you can do on t-shirts and on masks and on notebooks and iPhone covers and that kind of thing. So let's get to some of the news. So over the past week, the biggest piece of news we had was that Hasbro announced a couple of new items that will be coming out. I'm guessing that these items, a lot of them were going to be announced at things like Comic-Con and Star Wars Celebration, all of which have been canceled due to the pandemic. So they made a point to announce some of this stuff now. The biggest item, or among the biggest items, was the Hasbro Carbon Freezing Chamber playset, including carded Stormtrooper with a Bespin photo on it. Now, you can see in looking at this carbon freezing chamber, it's not that much to it. It's essentially half of a playset. It's like they took kind of like the set and they cut it in half, and they basically just made the stairs and the like a semicircle. Now you can buy a second one and then have the full rounded thing with the staircase on either side. But when you do that, it takes up a lot of space. There are a lot of people online that are very upset at this, and I understand that. And I respect their opinion. Me, personally, I kind of am more like, I don't really have an opinion. I have to say, when it comes to Star Wars, Hasbro / Kenner, and anything happening from the 90s onward, they have tried a few things with playsets. And their playset history beyond the Death Star space station and some of the, the Hoth things that came out for Empire Strikes Back, and Ewok Village. They had a few things that were really good in the original trilogy. But for the prequel trilogy and beyond, there really wasn't that much. Everything was more geared towards vehicles. There were some great vehicles. I mean, I remember the Naboo Royal Starship, which was huge. Along with, they did have the Arena playset in Episode 2, and they had a Mustafar playset for Episode 3. But the problem with playsets is that they're expensive. They're just hugely expensive, and they just don't see the return on them. Okay, I know some other very prominent YouTubers have talked about Playmobil and how Playmobil is, putting together a Ghostbusters playset. Well, I don't know if you've ever played with Playmobil. I have when I was a little kid, and I just remember them being very flimsy, not very well made. But for a display piece, yeah, I agree. There's some pretty cool stuff coming out with the Ghostbusters license that, maybe they could, maybe there is something that could be done. And, I guess really has to come down to the consumer and what we, the collector, want to do and what we're willing to pay. That being said, am I going to buy one? I mean, back to the carbon freezing. I probably will buy one. The funny thing is, I'll get to this in a little bit, but there are already pre-order offers, like buy one get one 50% off. So the deals are already coming even before they've released them. So I guess I don't think a lot of people have a lot of faith in the carbon freezing set. The one thing I see with it is that you could put, if you have a lot of loose figures, you can put a really cool diorama together, which I think would be kind of cool. So we'll see. Buying one, buying two, who knows? But anyway, Hasbro Carbon Freezing Chamber playset. So that's the one playset we're getting right now. When it comes to vintage figures, they announced a few, notably Princess Leia Organa Bespin Escape figure, which I believe has only been released a few times. And then, previously, obviously now it has the realistic face sculpt and everything. Along with that, they had Chirrut Imwe from Rogue One, a vintage card. That was really cool. Because I always loved that character. I do believe they've released it, but certainly they've released a, more less articulated version. So I'll be curious to see, how this one. I do believe they're using the 3D sculpting on the head, so I'll definitely be picking that one up. And then I talked about Black Series, which a lot of these were kind of already announced. Hoth Rebel Trooper. My most favorite thing about this is that you can actually switch out the faces and replace them with 2 different faces, and some covered with a scarf and some without. So you can literally create like 4 different figures. So you can build up an army, okay? Which is a little expensive to do that with Black Series, but you can do that if you want. So I will probably end up buying 2 just to be able to display 2 different types. The 40th anniversary figures like Boba Fett, Chewbacca, Snowtrooper, of Darth Vader. These are in the what look like the Empire Strikes Back cards, but they're the 6-inch figures. And Luke Skywalker, the Dagobah, which was the fan vote winner for 2019, and the Commander Cody. I almost said Commando, because that's a little sidetrack. Commander Cody was named from an old TV series called sci-fi serial that you saw in the movies. Commando Cody, and it looked a lot like it. Had the helmet, kind of had a cross between that and the Rocketeer, so kind of a cool, everything kind of tying together. But that was an archive fan vote for 2020, so there's that. Obviously, Hasbro is sinking a lot more energy into Black Series, okay, which is the 6-inch, and a lot of people are upset about that. There are a lot of people that are vintage collectors, only, and they want to go through this and be vintage collecting, and meaning the smaller 3 3/4 inch scale, and they just don't want to put the energy into collecting a whole new line, and I understand it. But I was walking through a Walmart toy aisle the other day, and it appears that there is a lot of larger scale figures, maybe not always 6-inch, but like Marvel and a lot of other lines have 6-inch or 5-inch or 8-inch. It just seems like, I'm guessing from a creative standpoint, or I should say the cost to create is a situation where they can make a little more and sell a figure for 20, and they can have a better profit margin. Okay, I mean, it is a business, folks. So I understand that, and I do feel that the 3 3/4 inch line might be, I don't want to say it's going away. I don't think it'll ever go away, but I think it's going to evolve into some. My thoughts is it's going to evolve into something else, and I'll get to that with some of the news that's coming. As I said, a lot of what I just announced is already on pre-order. You can already pre-order it from places like Entertainment Earth and GameStop and other places like that. My advice would be to do that, to do those pre-orders. Me personally, I'm kind of going through my current collection. I do like the new face sculpts, so when there is a face character, I might consider a new face sculpt. But when it comes to like Vaders, I already have like 3 Darth Vaders in the Black Series size. I don't know if I need a 4th one. I have like 7 different Boba Fetts. I mean, granted, a lot of them are painted differently, so I'm not 100% sure about that. I know that they're coming out with that carbonized look, that metallic look. So maybe, I might get that one, but I don't know about the 40th anniversary. We'll just have to wait and see. Sometimes it's just like if I'm in the store and I see them, I might pick one up. You know what I mean? It's less about ordering it, so I have to have it. It's more about, oh, look, I found it. So, that's kind of where my collecting habits go. In different news, there was I like to talk a little bit about Sideshow / Hot Toys, just because, I think from a high-end collectible, that's the one I go to. I mean, I know there's Gentle Giant, there's Kotobukiya, there's a lot of other ones out there, but for me, aside from the jumbo retro figures in Gentle Giant, which I do collect, I'm pretty much a Sideshow and Hot Toys collector. Do I collect them all? No. But they did announce, this is not new, these have been announced. But there's a few Sideshow pre-orders that I thought I would like to share with you guys, just because I thought they were kind of cool. The first is the First Order Snowtrooper, which I thought was kind of neat. It's essentially just the same Snowtrooper, that First Order that you saw earlier, but it has this really cool white cape. But I thought that was kind of hot and a neat look to it. There's the Jedi Starfighter 1/6 scale vehicle. Now that is epic, but it's gonna be huge if a figure is this big. If a figure is this big and the Starfighter's about this big. So it's one of those episode 3 rounded ones. Looks like Anakin's. If the figure's this big, then you're talking about something like this. And as cool as that is, it's going to be majorly expensive, and it's going to take up a huge amount of real estate. And those who've watched my channel have seen that I'm working really hard to try to get my collection kind of more organized, and there's just not a lot of room. I have to get rid of a lot of stuff. So I'll have to kind of wait and see where the price point is on that, as well as what room I have to be able to display something like that. The good news is that it is, Sideshow and Hot Toys always have a price plan. You can pay it monthly, which is nice. The only downside about that is a lot of times I do my big unboxings months after the figures come out, because I'm paying them off a little bit at a time. So, but what are you gonna do? So that was pretty cool. There's some other figures. There's an R419, okay, with the more like trapezoidal pointy head. There's a Kit Fisto. That one I might consider. I love the Jedi. And Padme Amidala, episode 2. And then this one was a little weird. There is a child quarter scale figure. Now, they didn't have pictures of it. They just said it was on pre-order. What they did have, that I've already put an order for in, was the full-size child. Now, let's remember, the child from The Mandalorian is about this big, which means that a quarter size is about this big. So I'm not quite understanding why they have that, but I mean, they do have quarter-size figures that are very expensive. So maybe this is just maybe there's going to be a quarter-size Mandalorian. I mean, a quarter-size figure is like, it's huge, and it's something that's like this, So it's kind of hard to truly grasp where that's going to fit. But I'm assuming that they're just doing it as a way as a companion piece for something else. So I'm excited about those, and will I order them all? We'll have to wait and see. Again, I might be like kind of waiting for discounts and see what goes on, or rather, not discounts, but like coupon codes and things of that nature. Kind of more interested to see what happens with that. All right, so another piece of news. There is a Kickstarter campaign, if you haven't heard about this, for Kenner Star Wars photography that is live now. What do I mean by that? Well, there are, obviously, if you think about all the retro and vintage carded and action figures and the boxes for the toys and the advertisements that came out in the 70s and 80s and the displays that you saw in the stores, there was all this very unique photography of the toys. And what's really cool is that the gentleman, or one of the gentlemen who shot a lot of the photography for those, is putting together a book. And so he started a Kickstarter campaign. It was actually a book that already came out. I think it was Kenner Photography Volume 1, 1978 to 1981 or 80, something like that. Or maybe 1977, 78, something like that. And now this one is, I think, 78 and onward, because this is the guy who took over the photography at that point. Or at least for the Empire Strikes Back. It's primarily for Empire Strikes Back related photography. And he's going to put a big photo book together. And like a lot of Kickstarter campaigns, if you go to the site, if you go there and you look for it, you will find that there's a bunch of different levels. I will say, and I listened to him on an interview, the author, that it's very expensive. He wants to try to keep the price down, but between Kickstarter taking their cut and a few other, and the publisher and everything else, he has to make it worth his while. But if you're interested in that, if you have an affinity for the vintage carded action figure and packaged box art and photos and design, it might be a cool thing to get involved with. So the link, I'll hopefully be able to have the link in the description, or you can just go to Kickstarter and do a search for Star Wars photography, and it'll probably come up. So there's that. Okay, and then my last piece of news is that Galaxy's Edge in Walt Disney World, Florida, will be opening up with Disney's Hollywood Studios, the park that it's in. It is currently scheduled to open on July 15th, and I have a park reservation to be present on July 16th, the next day. So I am very much looking forward to getting in there on that day. I will be, reporting on Galaxy's Edge. I'm not that interested in any other parts of the park. I love it, but for that day, I just want to go to Galaxy's Edge, just to kind of get back into that area. Mask on, keeping 6-foot distance, all the right stuff. Now, of course, there's an increase in COVID cases in Florida, so I wonder if that might delay the opening. If it does, it's okay. But if it's scheduled to be there, I'm looking forward to it. I have not heard much about any new product or any new collectibles that are going to be there. I would imagine that over the last 100 days that everything's been closed, that's been the least on anybody's mind. So I figure that we will just wait and see, and we'll just kind of do a walk through the stores, see what kind of stuff that they have. I have been told, they've announced, I should say, that they are opening up the Droid Depot, which I was kind of shocked at, because the Droid Depot is where you can build a droid. Excuse me. And there's a lot of hands-on, grabbing stuff there. So I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know if maybe they're not going to do the build a droid part, just open the store where you can go in and buy ready-made droids. Who knows? So we'll see about that. And they didn't list Savi's workshop for the lightsaber building. So it's my understanding that that's not going to open right away, but they could have just not listed it. They just, they put out a list of things that would be opening definitely. And Savi wasn't listed, okay? Now, the other thing that was listed that would open in terms of places to go and eat, and all the restaurants like Docking Bay 94 and the milk stand and all that stuff is supposed to be open, including the Oga's Cantina. However, and then Florida just yesterday or a few days ago announced that they had to because of the increasing cases, that I guess there was some research done, perhaps, and that everything was kind of tying back to a lot of bars opening to full capacity and people just not obeying social distancing and obviously not wearing masks because they're drinking, and they're getting drunk, maybe drinking too much, and thereby making even worse, not as thoughtful decision making. So they decided to eliminate offering alcohol in places like bars and restaurants, unless where alcohol is a main source of income for it. So I think it's like 50% or more. So if it's basically a bar only with maybe a few snacks, they're not even allowed to open anymore. So some places in Disney that were open, like in Disney Springs, like Jock Lindsay's, which is like a Indiana Jones themed lounge, so to speak, they basically sell liquor, mixed drinks and pretzels and stuff. Well, that's more than 50%. So they closed the day after they opened, which was kind of sad. And there's a few other places, but I do believe restaurants are still allowed to serve drinks and things of that nature. So where that falls for Oga's Cantina, I am not sure. I wonder if they would still open and serve non-alcoholic drinks. I wonder if they are just going to close it, or are they going to, maybe in some ways I think it might be nice to open it and have it be just have it be a place that you can go in and sit and have food from, like, that you take in from the other places, just to kind of spread everything around. But it is a little bit of closed space, so I think a lot of people might want to stay away from it anyway. So we'll see if it opens or not. So that's just some stuff coming up. Again, not sure when this video will drop, but I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. If you have any comments about any of the things we talked about, please leave it in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, may the Force and the toys be with you.